Welcome back to Briefly Speaking, everybody. It's been a little bit, but we're excited to kick off the summer, and it's really heating up.
Yes, it is.
And we're excited with all of the hot topics and hot weather that we're approaching. Is we have a guest with us, Chad. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I am the Building and Code Enforcement Supervisor, yes.
Amazing. And can you tell the folks a little bit just about what that position does on a day-to-day basis and just your history with the city?
Sure. So I've been with the city now for about 5 years, and the Building and Code Enforcement Supervisor is responsible for basically managing the building inspections, the permitting processes, and all of those things on the building side, but then also on the code enforcement side, making sure that the codes are being enforced and they're being followed by the citizens as much as possible. A huge part of that is really education. Yeah. It's really about getting the word out there. Sometimes people aren't even aware that there is a violation until we talk to them, and it is so that everybody in the entire city is being treated the same, fairly under all of our ordinances.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of connection that you're direct to the public and really working and trying to figure out different solutions as things arise, right?
Yes, absolutely. And our primary goal is what we call voluntary compliance. We're not out there to write citations or cost people money or tell them what they necessarily can or cannot do on their property, but there are rules, and we all have to follow the same set of rules.
And one of those rules today we're going to get into with the wonderful sunshine that we're getting brings in vegetation. And we've got some changes that have occurred, and we want to kind of help people understand what those new things can look like.
It's a little different than last year. Last year we had a lot more moisture, so it was growing like crazy by this time. It's not growing quite as fast this time, but we are starting to see some vegetation out there. And generally the rules for vegetation in the city is you have to maintain it to a height of less than 8 inches. So you just can't let it get overgrown. And so if we do see that, or if we get a complaint about that, we will go and make contact or attempt to make contact with the property owner to get them to basically get their vegetation maintained properly.
Previous years we've sent out letters, but this year we've got these wonderful signs.
Yeah, so look at these.
Yeah.
We're kind of changing things up a little bit.
Really visible. You're not going to miss this.
People have seen these kinds of signs with other things. Like you'll see people that come in and do like lawn care or fertilizing or something like that, and they'll stick these signs in the yard. They're a very visible reminder of something that you need to know about, something that happened.
Yes.
Sometimes locates, or they'll go out and put these signs and say that something was done. We switched from letters to these just because we know that the U.S. mail, not everybody uses that as much as they used to.
Yes.
And we don't have everybody's email address, so it's sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to communicate with the residents on, hey, we got something here we need to take a look at. Maybe correct this. So we're going to start using these signs. So if you happen to see one of these signs show up in your yard, this is your notification that you need to correct.
Pay attention to
correct a violation. Yes, don't ignore it. Look at it, read it. There will probably be a date on there on when we were there and a date when it needs to be corrected.
The QR code here to scan to whether you want to call somebody from your office or send an email, whatever way of communication feels best.
Absolutely, and always reach out to us.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, just give us a call. That's really what we want. We really want to just make contact so we can talk about it and just kind of communicate with them and come to a viable solution for both the city and the property owner.
Definitely.
And just to add on to that, I have had people say, well, why should I have to mow something that doesn't belong to me? But our code enforcement, they're going to enforce it, and you have to mow all the way up to the street. So if you have a sidewalk there, you got to get on the other side of the sidewalk and get all the way to the street. You can't just let that go.
That is a very good point. Sometimes people don't necessarily understand that because they're like, well, that's right away, and that's right away. That's city property. They're absolutely correct. It is, but we as a municipality, in order to maintain a wonderful place to live for everybody, can adopt an ordinance that requires them to maintain that piece of property. So any right of way that abuts their property, that runs right next to their property, they're responsible to maintain that vegetation all the way to the driving surface. And that is a requirement. And so we've had a big push on that lately, the last couple of years, because honestly, people were maybe a little bit confused by that. So we really do want people to kind of focus on that this year and make sure they're getting all the way to those driving surfaces.
And another thing I've noticed, and I get why people might say, well, I'm not going to mow it because of the weather, of course. And I know my grass was like that. So kind of in the middle area, it was dry. It was not very tall. But you get some of the shady areas over by the trees and by the road, it was getting pretty tall. And some people are going, well, I'm just not going to mow it till everything gets up there. But that's not going to work because it starts looking really bad and it'll get away from you. So, you know, you need to get in there, even if it's just around the edges where it's growing, and get it mowed.
Sure. The ordinance says they have to maintain their vegetation to a height of 8 inches or less. We try to be somewhat understanding.
Yeah,
That
if it's just
doesn't
a
mean
little bit.
if they got one little spot over by one little tree, yeah, we're not gonna be too worried about that.
Yeah.
But I think generally people understand if their lawns are starting to look a little ragged, and I would
Yeah.
hope that they would understand that as well. But again, if you see one of those signs in your yard, just call us. If you have a legitimate reason why it looks like that,
Yeah.
we want to discuss that. But
Yeah.
most of the time, it's like, you know what, just go mow that little part.
Make it easy. It's a super easy way to see and communicate. I think this is a great idea. We're really looking forward to rolling this out and being effective this summer. But on top of that, we briefly had discussed last year about different hay lots, and we want to touch a little bit on to make sure that even if you have a hay lot, to make sure the perimeter is also mowed. Is that
Yes.
an accurate statement?
Yes, that is accurate. We are no longer requiring them to register a hay lot, so
Okay.
they don't need to worry about those signs that we used to require for hay lots. But if you have undeveloped areas that are 2 continuous acres or more, you don't have to mow the entire property.
Right.
But you are required to mow at least 20 feet back from the driving surface and maintain that throughout the year. So that needs to be maintained at a height of less than 8 inches.
Yeah.
But the rest of the property they can let grow so that they can harvest the hay.
That's a big deal. 20 feet from the roadway. That's something
Yes.
that we want to make sure that we get out there to the public.
Yes. We will work hard to try to make contact with those people. In all aspects of this, we always want to try to make contact and let them know, please take care of this. It's not a guarantee,
Yeah.
but we will do what we can to contact the property owners.
Like, one other thing too that I wanted to have you point out, and that is that you might think that only means the front of your house, but there are neighborhoods where a house has a street in front, but they have a street behind.
Yes.
So
Yep.
therefore, and maybe they have a fence there, but they're responsible
Yes.
for behind that fence up to that roadway also.
We do have several areas in town where that happens, where they've got a street on both sides. We've also got some areas where they've got alleyways. Not a lot, but there are some alleyways out there and different things like that. The property owners are responsible for the vegetation on their property all the way to each driving surface. So if they've got a driving surface on 2 or more sides of their lot, they're responsible to maintain that all the way to the driving surface on both sides.
That's a great distinction.
Yeah.
And to make sure you make that clear. And because of all of the great communication that your office has done, recently one of your employees has been named South Dakota Code Enforcement Officer of the Year.
Yes, for South Dakota for the year.
Fantastic.
Mark Larson was nominated, and the board voted, and he received that award this year. He does a fantastic job for us. He really does work well with the citizens, and he works to get voluntary compliance. He's always communicating with me. When he has certain situations, he'll say, I've got this. I'd like to maybe not be real strict on our timelines. I'd like to give him a little extra time and work on it this way. And he's come up with some alternatives that have really helped us help the citizens get to where they need to be.
Amazing.
So
Well, we just wanted a huge congratulations to Mark.
absolutely.
That's such an achievement, and we're so proud and happy to have him on the city team.
Yes, as am I.
Yeah.
Makes my job easier.
Yeah, fantastic.
Definitely. Well, we've got another great event coming up. If you've got some leftover pieces from bulk pickup, this is a great
This is
opportunity
the time,
ahead.
yep.
Yeah.
May 29th, Friday,
Yes.
we're gonna do a box settler cleanup. We do it every year. And we've got a number of sponsors.
Yes.
That you can list those.
Yes, you'll see them at the bottom of our screen here.
And so we look forward to that. It helps everybody in the community that wants to help. They can do a street, they can do their own street, whatever. Having a roll off up here by City Hall. So
So that's the big one, is we're going to have roll-offs here at City Hall that will be available. We just ask that you bring a food donation, or you are donating to Black Hills Children's Museum, which is a great opportunity. But really, we're looking for general trash, furniture, mattresses, electronics, even scrap metal this time around. So all of that is going to be available on city property starting Friday, May 29th from 1 to 5 p.m. and going until the next day from 8 to noon, or if full. And you'll see that information also on the bottom of your screen. We would love to see you out here, and whether you're with our team or, like you said, grabbing your own street,
yeah,
you want to clean up the box.
I've seen some people just do that, and it wasn't necessarily on that day, but I've seen, the one family in one neighborhood, I noticed their kids, they were just walking up and down the street picking up trash.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool to see that.
No, that is wonderful. And thank you to all of our sponsors that are making this possible. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Chad, again for joining us on Briefly Speaking, and we're looking forward to the summer months ahead and all of the events that we'll be having coming up, and we'll see you next time on Briefly Speaking.
Yeah, have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.